Do Americans know Castro is considered a hero in most of the world? No, dude. Americans don't even fucking think about anything outside of their immediate neighborhood. Holy, that is so crazy.
And this is what's going on.
Here, look at how this conversation about how reassured they are by Trump's foreign policy appointments made me actually yell things I can't type here at full volume in front of the TV at my mom.
Incoming administration continues to build its cabinet, eyeing MAGA loyalists like Stephen Miller for Deputy Chief of Staff, former New York Congressperson Lee Zeldin as EPA Chief, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. She's going to head up Homeland Security, so watch your dogs.
Yes.
As well as Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, who used to have a much different take on his future boss. Take a look.
We cannot allow a con artist to get access to the nuclear codes of the United States of America. He's always calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy, he's taller than me. He's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2". Have you seen his hands? They're like this. And you know what they say about men with small hands?
He hit my hands. Nobody has ever hit my hands. I've never heard of this one. Look at those hands.
This guy is such a scoundrel. This guy is a disaster. On top of which, he's a choker.
No matter what happens in this election, for years to come, there are many people on the right, in the media, and voters at large that are going to be having to explain and justify how they fell into this trap of supporting Donald Trump. Because this is not going to end well one way or the other.
Oh, gosh. It did for you.
So, what do you think of all this?
You know, I've known Marco Rubio for a very long time. He and I grew up in Republican politics in Miami together. Haven't spoken to him in several years. He's changed a lot. He probably thinks I have too. But I will say this. Marco is qualified. He's been on foreign relations in the Senate for many years. I'm happy because he knows Latin America, which for me is a region that's often forgotten. He speaks Spanish. He knows who these leaders are. He knows what the issues are.
I wonder why she would be saying these things. I wonder why they are so reassured by Marco Rubio. I wonder if her personal attitude towards what must happen in Latin America are directly in line with Marco Rubio's. Someone send me the fucking tweet, please. This is Rhino, never Trump Republican, Ana Navarro. Okay? Ana Navarro, who gets to operate within the confines of the Institute of Politics at Harvard University, born in Nicaragua, okay, obviously aligns with Marco Rubio on foreign policy. Here's Ben Norton's tweet. Ana Navarro is from a rich family of Contras, a fascist CIA-run death squad who massacred civilians and burned hospitals in Nicaragua. She hates the Sandinistas because they overthrew oligarchs like her and gave housing, education, and healthcare to the poor. Contra-supporting CNN pundit Ana Navarro lobbied for corrupt right-wing Latin American governments as a Republican strategist. She also openly said, "My dad was a Contra. I'm grateful to RR for his support of freedom. You're kind of young to be a true Reaganite." Now, don't you think that's insane? Here's again. To my friends in New York, I still have some connections with old Contra leaders if needed. To my friends in New York, I have some connections with old ISIS members if needed. Some old Al-Qaeda members if needed. That's what the equivalent is. 1980 murders of U.S. missionaries in El Salvador. In December 2nd, 1980, 4 Catholic missionaries from the United States working in El Salvador were raped and murdered by 5 members of the El Salvador National Guard. From 1979 to 1990, the Contras were right-wing, far-right fascist paramilitary groups that the CIA backed and defended and gave money and arms to. During their war against the Nicaraguan government, here I'll use Wikipedia, there were numerous examples of Contras committing human rights violations and using terrorist tactics. Many of these actions were reported to be carried out systematically as a part of the strategy of the Contras. Organizations that supported the Contras, such as the Reagan administration, argued that the Contras did not deliberately use the attacks on civilians to advance their goals. The CIA, which was involved in the creation of the Contra groups, argued that the Contras' actions against civilians were a result of poor discipline characteristic of irregular forces instead of an official tactic. The CIA also reported that one Contra leader was executed by the group due to his excessive violence against civilians. The Global Terrorism Database reports that Contras carried out more than 1,300 terror attacks. Here's Ana Navarro shitting on Marco Rubio. They've been outing themselves to kiss his ring. Marco Rubio is one of the worst. How dare Marco Rubio compare Trump to being a felon to communist Cuba? 5,600 Cubans at least were shot in front of firing squads. And another 12,000 in addition to that were shot and killed. How dare you use their names in vain so you can suck up to Donald Trump? Don't you dare compare our judicial system to that. She was mad that Marco Rubio was comparing the political persecution of Donald Trump to, the Biden administration of Fidel Castro. Her explicit purpose for being platform is to launder and sane wash the ever-shifting right-wing movement in the United States liberal mainstream media. Yes. Contras are what genocide supporters think Hamas is like. Yes. But they were our guys. So it doesn't matter. They were our guys, so they were good. Just like Ana Navarro gets to go on The View and talk about how Marco Rubio actually offers a sense of sanity to the current administration.
I think he's going to come in hot on places like Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua, which I care about enormously.
Yeah, we're going to do coups everywhere, dude. We're going to bomb them into oblivion, actually.
I'm surprised by the appointment because he and I agree on foreign policy, and I think he's considered a foreign policy hawk and kind of like a neocon, which is looked down upon by the MAGA folks. I'm also surprised because of all of this, stuff that's happened between them before, and Trump is putting such an emphasis on loyalty. I'm surprised because this will give Governor DeSantis the chance to make a Senate appointment, and Governor DeSantis is not one of Donald Trump's favorite people. And I'm surprised by Marco because Donald Trump had such turnover in his cabinet in 2016 that I think giving up your Senate seat where you're...
Anyway, I don't want to fucking hear the rest of this. This shit sucks so bad. We are such a fucking stain on humanity. I swear to God. I remember when Ana Navarro pivoted from being a Bush loyalist to a liberal commentator. I know. Anyway, yeah, Jon Stewart has a similar assessment to myself. Oh, yeah. Will never not be funny that Marco Rubio's parents left Cuba during the Batista reign, but he told people during his campaign that they fled Castro. I recently realized there are many Cubans whose parents and grandparents fled Cuba during the Batista dictatorship, but over time, the family story became that they fled because of Fidel. Yeah, Bob Menendez is another one. Remember Bob Menendez being like, I learned how to... Remember when Bob Menendez, New Jersey Democrat, Bob Menendez, was caught for securing contracts for halal meat from his contacts in Egypt? And they were paying him in gold bars. So when asked about the gold bars, he basically said, I learned to hide my wealth in gold bars when my family fled Castro's dictatorship. And the irony, of course, was that his family had not fled the Castro dictatorship. His family had fled the Batista dictatorship, the actual dictatorship. Okay? The Batista dictatorship was and forever will be infinitely more violent than the Cuban Revolution, okay? That's another lesser discussed fact. In a short time frame, the US-backed dictatorship killed infinitely more people. Do Americans know Castro is considered a hero in most of the world? No, dude. Americans don't even fucking think about anything outside of their immediate neighborhood. Americans are some of the most selfish fucking people on the planet. What do you mean? Americans literally just voted, okay, including but not limited to Americans of Latino heritage who have immediate family members who are now slated for deportation, okay, for a guy who was going to engage in mass deportation because they thought that in the process, the egg prices would go down 50 cents, okay? Now, there's obviously a lot of issues with what the Democratic Party did not present as an alternative. But no, of course, most people don't know who the fuck Castro is. And Americans have eaten an unimaginable amount of fucking propaganda about Fidel Castro and Che Guevara. Cuba, for all of its faults and failures in governance, is basically a fucking beacon of existing in the ass cheeks of the largest, most violent hegemonic superpower, and not being able to have its own autonomy ever, but still surviving nonetheless. Think about it. Island nation that's like basically swimming distance from mainland America, okay, that has been punished for having a socialist revolution since the inception of the socialist revolution, because we were mad that we couldn't have sugar plantations and a tourism destination for the fucking mob. We armed the goddamn dictatorship of Batista to the fucking gills. And then when they lost and got their shit pushed in, we just punished the island nation permanently and have never stopped. And time again, the United Nations has actually condemned the blockade that we have instituted on Cuba unjustifiably. Okay? The entire world is opposed by the United States and Israel. For the 32nd year, the entire world voted at the UN General Assembly to demand an end to the illegal U.S. embargo against Cuba. The USA and Israel opposed the international community with a vote of 187-2, with one abstention. Moldova is the one that abstained. Ukraine did not vote in 2023. Kyiv had abstained. What is this? Breaking Mexico sent 400,000 barrels of oil to Cuba, stating that they've always condemned the U.S. siege on Cuba. I don't know if this is real or not. That seems like a fucking fake account. My grandfather left because of Batista, but blamed Castro for everything. He wasn't a slave owner. He just worked in a shop, got randomly arrested by Batista, then was released and left the country. Proximity to all the anti-Castro people in Hialeah converted him. Yeah. And it's not like, for the record, not every single fucking Cuban American is a slaver, okay? Calm down. But the cultural resistance against, mostly backed by a lot of the people who are anti-Castro, the cultural resistance has remained, okay? So it doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. Here's Fidel Castro on capitalism, consumerism, and the environment. I don't want to get into it right now, but it's fine. What does USA get out of sieging Cuba? I mean, it's the same principle behind endlessly punishing Haiti for having the Haitian Revolution. You can't ever give people a moment to ever think that a successful revolution can continue and can exist. It goes entirely against our goals in maintaining the system that we have. Okay, it is real, apparently. Holy shit, that's fucking sick. Mexican fuel flows to Cuba as the island faces blackouts and the loss of Russian and Venezuelan oil. Mexico has sent nearly 500,000 barrels of crude oil and diesel in just a span of days. That's fucking amazing. Keep the international community in line so any revolution against the existing order is unthinkable. Yes. Do I think a socialist momentum in Russia can achieve anything? No. Nothing happens in Russian politics that's outside of the immediate interests of Vladimir Putin. That includes, you're being anti-American by supporting Mexico and Cuba. I hope you know that. Fuck yeah, I am. This guy needs to be banned. This guy needs to be banned. We need to keep killing Cubans directly. What the fuck? That's against American interest. That guy's joking, by the way. That guy's joking. That guy's joking. Don't yell at him. God damn, dude. Holy shit.